All right, I want to talk about something maybe a little intense. It might hit some people in a way that's uncomfortable, but that's good because that's what's effective. So, you are not broken. You are not fundamentally flawed. This is what I was taught growing up. This is what I believed. And every time there was an issue or a problem or an uncomfortable emotion, I reverted back to that core belief that I am flawed, that I was something wrong with me. Ooh, this one's hard because I think most people have this, but I will just speak for myself. And if you relate, awesome. As always, I want to speak from my own experience, not make generalizations about everyone else. So I grew up in a Christian religion, which really at the basis of that belief system is we are not right. And what makes us right is God's sacrifice. I won't get into the details, but I think a lot of religions teach something similar. Like you are flawed and you need to do these things to gain approval because you're not good enough. So what awakening shows you is that is all ego, that is all thought. And once you disidentify with those thoughts and ego structures that are not real, they are created by you. They are created right here, right here. Once you see through that, everything changes. And I mean everything. It's what ruined my life in the best possible way ever. Ooh. Yeah, I can feel the emotions in my body thinking about it. Every one of my friends, every one of my family members, pretty much every human that I talk to on a deeper level than surface is a Christian. Now, the ones that stuck by me, that are still my friends, that I can still talk to, are very open and generally awesome, really great people. And it actually makes it more interesting to talk to them now after I've gone through this process, because I can just kind of see where the differences are, and like sometimes their beliefs or their emotions kind of come through in areas that I didn't expect, and it's interesting to observe and to watch. But there is a deep sadness within me for what I had to go through, and then for what I see in other people with this belief system. And here's the thing. It seems like there is truth in every single person. Like in your body, there is the truth. But it's so simple and so easy and so present that it's completely overlooked or missed. And what's easier to buy into or to create or to build in yourself are thought structures, which then turn out to be the ego. So if we just start our day with feeling, and we just feel through our day, say we have a good feeling, an uncomfortable feeling, and we just let the feelings happen. They come, they go. There's no problem. Your baseline, your normal reality, everything all the ups and downs don't matter, because underneath there is just peace and love and perfection. And you see this in kids. I love having toddlers because they teach me so much. Now, as you grow up and become an adult, you are taught, or you start to believe, or you start to have experiences that make you feel a certain way, and then you add your thought to those experiences. And wow, I added so much guilt. I always thought I was taught, and then I believed, and then I created more thought structures of I am flawed, there's something wrong with me, I need fixed, I don't know how to fix myself, Why am I not like everyone else? These big ones, they're big ones. And so then, instead of just feeling my highs and lows of the day, which is normal, I would feel, say I had a high, it would be so muted because I would want it to be higher or better. Or why wasn't I laughing as much as that other person? They seemed to have more joy, and there would be this comparison. And then my lows were way lower. And then I really reinforced the thought, see, look how I'm acting, look how I'm feeling. There's something wrong with me. What's wrong with me? And the downward spiral was my whole life. My whole life. Gosh, it's so painful. And here's what happens. Over time, we get used to it. We get almost comfortable being completely dysfunctional. It's like the slow boiling of the frog. You put a frog in cold water and you slowly raise the temperature and it won't jump out until it dies. But if you put it in hot water, it immediately jumps out. It's the slow boiling of life. And this is what we don't realize. We've gotten ourselves to a place that's so dysfunctional, so messed up, so twisted inside, so thought identified, that we don't even know it. And then what people call awakening is not becoming like superhuman or attaining something. It's it's jumping out of the hot water. That's all it is. It's leaving all of that stuff you've built, all of the toxicity, all of the fakeness, all of the lies. It's leaving it behind. But man, the core ones are so intense. I didn't know how deeply I believed that I was flawed until truth started pressing on it. Now, I started with little beliefs, here and there, like, I'm like, what does sadness feel like? And why was I mean to this person? Like, why was I triggered? And like, I started looking at these little things. But when you have to turn and look, when awareness becomes aware of the fact that I truly believed I was broken and flawed, that's really hard to look at. Really hard. And I'm not going to invalidate the fact that that's a challenge, although right now I don't feel that and it's not a challenge. I know what it felt like. It was super hard. But when you can shine awareness on it, it's like flipping the light switch on and the darkness disappearing. You just realize there's nothing there. The feeling of being flawed and broken comes from a belief, which is a thought, that there's something wrong with me, that I need fixed. And when you see through that thought that it is actually nothing, it is nothing but a thought in here. It's not true. It's not based in reality. The reason religions work is because they play on our ego, and there is a feeling, because most people are split. They have this like, well, I feel good sometimes, but then I feel bad sometimes, and then I do good sometimes, and then I don't do good sometimes. And so religion grabs that negative part and says, see, you do these bad things. You need help. You need fixed. But it's not that we're both good and bad. It's that sometimes we're unaware and we identify with our ego and we act out of ego. And then sometimes we are aware and we don't identify and we act out of who we truly are, which is love and peace. So if you identify with ego through a religion and then try to fix yourself, you don't get to this awareness of who you truly are. What you do is you start working on the ego and trying to fix the ego, which is not fixable because it's not real. It's not a thing to fix. You can't fix it. It just is what it is. What you can do is step back, disidentify with it, realize that's not me. Those are just thoughts. All the ego structures are fake. They're not real. What's real is who I truly am. The awareness, the love, the peace. So you disidentify with the ego, and then you plunge yourself into this just intuitive feeling of love and peace. And then you realize, I realized, all of my religious beliefs were tied to that feeling of being identified with the ego. So when I disidentified with that, I didn't need religion anymore. Because that's just trying to fix something that isn't fixable because it's not real to begin with. So it's just a loop that you'll be on forever, because when are you fixed? When are you good enough? When have you said sorry enough? When are you acceptable enough for God to love you? When are you at the point where you're completely sure you'll get to heaven? Like, there is no end. Because as long as you're identified with thought, you will always feel not good enough. Awakening is not fixing that. Awakening is stepping back and looking at it and noticing that's not true. The really challenging part is when you realize that's not true and you've believed in it for so long, you feel dumb, you feel duped, you feel cheated, and then you have to grieve a life that you thought was yours, but it wasn't even real. When my sense of self and who I thought I was starting to be seen through, I felt like I was dying because I was so identified with ego. I thought that's who I was. My ego started disappearing more and more and more, and I was grabbing, and I thought, no, what's going to happen to me? And I freaked out, and I cried, and I screamed, literally, and I just didn't handle it well because I thought, if this goes, I'm going to die. But the craziest thing happens. That goes, and what remains is who I am. And I love it. I love how I feel now. I feel good all the time. I feel accepted. I feel whole. I feel loved. Even in moments where people are treating me like shit, or even if I don't treat someone very great, I'm not attached to it. I can come back and apologize. I can let the feelings dissipate, and then my baseline goes right back to love and peace. Like, I can navigate situations not identified with this fake ego, but identified with who I am. So to bring this around before I talk too long, this is why I share, guys. It's worth it. It's beautiful. The process really sucks sometimes. It really hurts. But what's hurting and what's not fun is letting go of something that was never yours. It was never who you are. If you feel like you're flawed or you're broken, that is not true. It's ego identification. You can let that die. Sometimes it's ugly. Sometimes you get super angry. Sometimes nobody understands what's happening to you. I lost everything in my process. But I don't care anymore. Because what I gained, oh man, it's like giving up a glass of water and gaining the ocean. It's just, there's no comparison. There's nothing that compares. Who you are is not broken. It doesn't need fixed. I'll even go so far to say emotions don't need healed. Emotions just are. You don't need to heal something, to fix something. You just start to accept everything that's happening in every moment. You start to look at what's giving you these feelings, what you're believing, what you're thinking. And you start to disidentify more and more with that, and you start to identify more and more with this present peaceful awareness. And you start to see that that's who you are, and then you start to see that that's who everyone is. That's who everyone is. Nobody's flawed. people that are depressed or what you would call evil or do heinous acts, they're completely identified with ego and have no awareness. And then people that are really loving and really amazing, like Buddha and Jesus, if they existed, they're just the opposite end of the spectrum. They're completely aware. They're not God. People worship them like they're God. They're a completely aware human. So there's just levels of awareness. It's not like this person's evil, this person's good. Those are thoughts. That's ego. To judge like that and cause separation. There's seems to be levels of awareness. When you become aware of who you truly are, well, you see that there is no you, and what's left is perfect. You're not broken. We're all on this journey together.